Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm AVRHD, and today we're going to be starting a brand new podcast series. Let's jump on right in. So I'm here with my boy Pranav.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And we're pretty much going to be running primarily this podcast series. It's more of a Overwatch-based podcast. As you can see in the title and on the stream, the video, not the stream, it's called OverCast for Overwatch Podcast. That's what we're going to stick with. We're primarily going to be discussing topics that's happening in Overwatch, the game, the updates, what the community thinks, metas, Overwatch League, but pretty much anything related to Overwatch is probably going to be on this podcast in some way, shape, or form at some point in time.
Yes, sir. So, let's start it off with looking at the patch notes from April 29th.
Yes, let's pull that up. So, if you guys want easy access to any of these patch notes, go ahead and join the Discord. The link is in the description below. And in that, there's immediate patch notes the second it happens in a very easy to read fashion. So if y'all are interested in just keeping up to date with all the games that you play, not just for Overwatch, but CSGO, League, any of those, link is in the description below. So definitely go check that out.
Yeah, so did you open it up, man?
I do have the patch notes open, yeah.
So, when looking at April 29th, we first see Anna on a sleep dart. Duration lowered from 6 to 5 seconds. Now, this is a pretty interesting move, I must say. I mean, Ana's been in the meta for a really long time. I mean, she's a really good main support. I mean, most people prefer playing her over, like, Mercy, for example, right? You have that, the grenades, antis, you have that sleep darts, you have that nano, which could be a huge team fight winner. You nano our Ryan, he just swings his hammer, it's easy win right there.
Yeah, no, I mean, you could... The sleep is low-key overpowered in certain aspects.
It's not low-key overpowered. Of course, with Ana, you need to be good at aiming, right, with your sleep.
That's true.
Easy to sleep.
I mean, like,
but I feel like
having the ability like a sleep is so game-changing.
I think is that when, let's say you have a Ryan on the opposing team, he's probably going to lower his shield, honestly, every 5 seconds, up, down, right?
Yeah.
If that Ana can, constantly keep getting that sleep dart every 5 seconds and actually make it to that Ryan, that's an extra sleep dart to the Ryan, which basically means that our team, or so your team, can basically just push in right there. If the Ryan's sleeping, you just focus him, 6v5, you go in, you win.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's an interesting move. I think it's a move that they should have done, because Ana was still a little... Yes, she was good and everything. Her healing, I don't know, I want to say it got nerfed a long time ago. But, I mean, this is something they put in experimental mode, right? This is all the stuff they put in experimental mode. I think this is something that we'll have to see how it works out, but I don't think it's horrible.
It's not. And I mean, it's gonna definitely piss off Ana players everywhere. I already know.
Why would it piss off Ana players?
Just that extra second of not being slept, right? Because
wait. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like, cause imagine, for example, when we're doing our little 1v1s, you sleep, but then you take the time to sleep in order to, like...
think about it as a good thing. I feel like when I was sleeping or went through a sleep dart, like, it was too long.
No, yeah, and I don't disagree there. I'm just saying, Anas are generally going to be a little bit more annoyed by the fact that it's reduced, because, I mean, like, take a Bob, right? You're going to sleep a Bob. You're going to want the Bob to stay asleep for as long as you possibly can.
Bob's a different circumstance. I feel like with that sleeping the Bob, you can probably push in, and at that time you can probably get a lot of damage just to kill off the entirety of Bob.
That's true.
I think eventually they might even nerf Bob's probably health, so I mean...
That's true.
We'll see how that goes.
Yes.
But the next one is something I'm really, as much as I don't love playing Mei, I play her just because of how it's a no-brain character, right? But looking at how in Overwatch League and in regular, everyone hates Mei, of how annoying she is, how overpowered she is. Blizzard, duration, first of all, lower from 5 to 4.25 seconds. That's a pretty long time. I mean, Blizzard lasts forever. And primary fire, the stun also lowered from 1.5 to 1.3 seconds.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
that's a huge nerf to Mei, dude. That's a huge.
it is a
nerf.
huge nerf to Mei, but at the same time, if you're a Mei player, are you gonna really give a shit? Because you can charge up your ult really quickly.
Nah, I mean, it's hard. Like if I'm looking at Overwatch League, Mei's Blizzard is a game changer, and the stun is also a game changer. I think, okay, as much as Mei might be the most hated character, I think they still need to nerf her more. I would say for the Blizzard, sort of a 5 to 4.25, make it 3.8 from the primary fire. I think 1.3 is fine. I think they need to do more nerfing to her, man. She's just still really overpowered and not as
No, yeah, but that's
as
what I'm
fun to
saying,
play
right?
with.
Like as a Mei, you can get your ult relatively quickly. I mean, you just kind of have to land your shots, but you could just freeze. You don't even have to land your shots. You could just freeze. And yes, it's reduced from 5 to 4.25, but like if you can get your ult super quickly, that's not going to really make much of a difference. You're still going to be a pain in the ass for everybody on your team.
Right. But again, it'll still be kind of hard to get her all. She's not the fastest, we'll say, in the game. Right?
Yeah, obviously, but she's also not the slowest.
Yeah, I need to see how that is in game when that's in. I gotta look at that. But the next one, I'm a McCree main, so this hurts a little bit.
Yeah. So how do you feel?
So this is actually good. I mean, when you're looking at people in bronze and silvers, what they do is they just click E, right click, right? That's OP. Yeah. We both know that. We've both faced that so many times, right?
Yeah.
So this thing I feel like will get you really you're gonna have to get your headshots. You're gonna have to get your headshots in a really fast time. You're gonna need to E, click really fast, and you need to make it.
Not necessarily. I mean, you could still E and then right click.
Yeah, but it won't be as long, I would say. I mean, with that 0.7 seconds, I think 0.85 was perfect for just having that right click go. 0.7 might be barely. I have to look into that a little bit, but I don't know if that'd be enough to get that.
I mean, for the most part, right? If you stun and you're literally in their face, a right click should insta kill for the most part.
It should. But this is a good nerf for the lower tiers. But I mean, you would still want to just, if you're just one of that McCree's, just E right click. You need to switch to your E left shot, man. You need to get that headshot. With that kind of time, it'd be much more make sense to get that headshot.
That's true.
Unless if you're facing like some kind of tank or something, even if you're a tank, you would want to go for headshot. You do more damage that way, right? You headshot versus right click, you're doing way more damage. So I don't think right click is like a last second thing, right? Like there's somebody behind you, you just eat and you don't have time to like react to in a left click, right? Then yeah, it makes sense to like right click, but I would say for most times you need to learn how to eat and just left click really fast.
Okay, so here's my question for you. And this is because you're a McCree main who literally, I mean, you play McCree what 80% of your games, 80 to 90% of your games.
No, not 80. I would say around 60, 70, even less probably.
Okay, I mean, you still play him a decent amount.
I play him a decent amount.
Yeah,
I do play him a decent amount.
Is it really that hard of a nerf when it comes to being? McCree, yes, he is very, very useful. But if you also look at it, most of games don't consist of a McCree trying to get up close to the enemy team and then Eing. E is more of like a defensive ability where if they flank on you, you can kill them or get away. Because you're still primarily a hit scan, so you're still gonna be chilling behind barriers.
So, is this a huge nerf? No, Ani. I feel like what they did with McCree early on is, as you know, there's like the hit speed is much faster per shot. It's much faster. You know how easy it is to click left click. It goes really fast.
Yeah.
As long as you can make your shots, again, it is mostly, again, as you said, a hit scan, right? We're not talking this as more like an assault, like, Genji or something. Like
exactly.
You go in and not all McCrees do that, right? Maybe flanking, yeah, but it's more of that, that hit scan, you go in kind of behind, get all that damage you can behind, right? So that E, I don't think it's such a huge impact. If it's, let's say, something that they lowered, like, time between shots, right? Per shot. That would have been a huge nerf, but this isn't too bad. I mean, I think it's still doable. As we talked about earlier, E right click, I think it can still work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to tanks now. First off is Reinhardt.
knockdown duration lower from 3 to 2.5 seconds.
Uh,
I don't agree with this. I don't think they should have done that. No, because they nerfed Ryan's shield already to 1500, which was the biggest nerf for Ryan right now.
yeah.
I think they already did some lowering with their Earth Shatter damage and all that stuff. I don't
Ryan's
agree
just
with
getting
that.
obliterated at this point.
Already 3 seconds is not that long. 3 seconds is not that long.
Yeah.
When we're thinking about a tank, if anything, it should have been 3.5, right? They should have buffed it to a 3.5. I don't think 2.5 is enough.
No, I mean,
I'd
I
be
think
surprised if they put it back to 3.
I think 3.5 is a little too much, considering the amount of damage the entire team can do.
Well, right.
if they're
So
grouped
I think
together.
3 is a sweet spot. 3 is a sweet spot.
2.8 to 3 is like the sweet spot right there.
2.5 is a little too low. I don't think that's enough time. That's barely enough time. Like, okay, let's say Orion gets a 6 shatter. Those 2.5 seconds will just be him reacting. Oh my god, I got a 6-man shatter.
That is
He won't
true.
even have time to like E.
That
So I
is
really
true,
think
yes.
that they need to have that 3 seconds back.
I mean, we are
I'm
gonna
not sure if I
see.
like
We
that.
are gonna see how this plays out.
Now the next tank, I don't know what they're doing with the Roadhog. I mean, Roadhog's already so overpowered with its whole hog. I mean, it's really good, and they want to increase that by 20% knockback.
20% knockback,
So you can
so
basically
it's
put-
just gonna make it harder to hit him while he's whole hogging.
Let's say we're in a map called like Iliois, right?
Yeah.
That map where you have like that big pit.
Yeah. No, I mean you don't even need that. Just take Junkertown. That entire
Yeah.
like first point area, where just before the gate there's that
Right.
entire like ledge. You
And
just
let's think
pop
about
the
it this
whole
way,
hog.
right? The whole hog, if you had a Ryan on your team, the Ryan would basically again protect from the whole hog. But with that knockback increase 20%, you're pushing the entire team back, and that's harder for the other team to go in without a shield or really without even just. Most people don't even have Lucios, right? So you can't even speed boost back in.
Yeah, and whole hog. I mean,
It's
rips
already
apart
good, and
Ryan
whole hog is
shields
not-
relatively quickly.
Relatively quickly. I mean they didn't increase the damage. It's just the knockback, but it's still.
Yes, but I mean,
I don't think
if
it's
the
something
shield
they
gets
should have done.
destroyed and then they get pushed back an additional 20%, then you're talking so much more time, and I mean, it's just gonna be harder overall to stay on point if a hog can successfully pull off
I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that at all. I don't think that's something I would do if you were Overwatch. I would say you would maybe increase by 10%, or if anything, you might want to decrease it. I know they did nerf Roadhog a lot when Overwatch first came out. Roadhog was really OP. They really trying to bring that back again.
Yeah, so Pranav's just giving notes over to Jeff.
Dude, I hate Jeff. I literally hate Jeff. The amount of stuff he's done to Genji, dude, he's literally messed up Genji.
Alright, next
But
on the
Sigma.
list, Sigma.
So Sigma is a character when it came out, double shields was really popular at that time, and everyone hated it. And I obviously hated it. Being a McCree main, just trying to kill shields, it wasn't really that fun. And with this, yes, it makes sense that less people play Sigma, but Sigma is still a really good, in some ways, a really good main tank, even though it's more of an off tank. And I think how it was right now earlier on was fine. Even in Overwatch League, yeah, it's depending on hero pools, you do get that double shield. But I mean, we're looking at knockdown durations of fixed 0.8. Huh, what do you think about that? I mean, knockdown duration is now 0.8 seconds of scaling with distance.
I mean, in a way, it's easier because in a way, it's both. I feel like it could go both ways. In a way, it's easier because it's 0.8 fixed, so regardless of how far it is, it's guaranteed.
But not
gonna
many
be
Sigmas
0.8.
really care about how far they are when they're using their.
Like,
I don't know.
I don't doubt that, but like at least it's guaranteed 0.8 instead of, oh, I was.
Is the accretion the alt or is it the rock?
I have no idea. Let's find out. I believe
don't
it's. I
remember
believe
that.
it's the rock.
I believe it's a rock too, because with distance, right? Knockdown duration.
Yes.
That makes sense, because that's the only way you can get knocked down is from the E.
Yes.
The rock.
Creation is
I'm
The rock.
pretty sure it's the rock.
It's the rock.
Yeah, it makes sense. It has to be the rock.
It
so
is the rock.
cast time reduced to 0.75 to 0.6. That makes sense. Knockdown duration is 0.8.
so.
No, I do not agree with that. I like that how Sigmas were really back and they got like a really lucky shot, like a really far distance. It's like I've done that before so many times.
Yeah.
That knock was. It's just a way to show your skills, and it was kind of fun that way.
Sure.
I liked having that scaling with distance.
And I feel like what you're bringing is a very solid point in the sense that It's more skillful to do it that way.
It
But
gives you a sense of
what
pride, like you did that.
what
Like it's
I'm
amazing.
thinking is in a team fight, right? Like take higher leagues and in team fights, your team is not really gonna give a shit whether or not you're skillful enough to
Oh yeah,
almost
yeah.
land that from a distance. They just want the damage. So in that way, it's kind of like a benefit because you know that regardless of how far you are, as long as you land the shot, it's gonna be 0.8 versus if you're X amount of distance, it does Y amount of damage, and that changes based on how far you are. I feel like in certain scenarios, in certain team fights, it's actually going to be beneficial to have it, but it's also going to be a loss in other ways where you could have done more damage from a certain distance, but now you can't just because it's locked at 0.8. But I feel like overall, people are not really going to complain too much about it, just because you're basically guaranteed a certain amount of damage, almost like just every other ability. So you just kind of know,
Right.
where and when to, that's just kind of what's going on in my head.
So yeah, I think that's it for the patch notes. Now I kind of want to talk about the community, right, in general. So, Ani, I don't know if you know much about the community, right? Like the YouTubers, for example, right?
Not really, no.
So we have a lot of big YouTubers who started up the game, who played it entirely, who loved it. But with the new changes, a lot of people are not liking it. You know, with the people in Masters and Grandmasters, Overwatch League, they're retiring, they're bored, they're switching to newer games like Valorant or even, other stuff. Maybe they're not even trying to go into esports anymore, right? And the tier 2 and tier 3 scene are absolutely horrible. These scenes are like the lower parts of Overwatch League, basically, and they're doing horrible, and there's no respect for them. Nobody's really watching it. A lot of these teams are going away because they don't want to spend the money. A lot of these players are not even getting paid. You think Overwatch is on that road to kind of dying with this? Like, the league, the game in general, with how the new updates are?
Okay, so that's a really loaded question.
Yeah, that is. So, I mean, yeah, take your time and try to answer that. But what's your opinion on what's going on right
Okay,
now?
so Overwatch,
Just the higher
if we
tiers.
consider just numbers, right? It's what, 4 or 5 years old in terms of the game.
2016, I think, if it came out. So yeah, 4 years.
2016, I believe, is when they got Game of the Year. So yeah, it's around 4 years old. It's an online game, which and don't think that I'm trying to bash on the game because I play it more than most other online games.
Yeah, we stream. We both stream it a lot.
But with an online game that's basically the same thing again and 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 again, it's, I feel like it doesn't have an unlimited lifespan, right? Like, you take something like League of Legends, and I've never really played League of Legends, but they must be doing something right if it's still as big as it is. And from what I've been told from other people, it changes because there's so many heroes and the amount of abilities you can get that it's always different. But especially in Overwatch, with the way they've configured it in both comp and quick play and everything, where you choose a role, there's always 2 tanks, there's always 2 DPS, there's always 2 supports. The DPS usually always requires some sort of shield, so you're basically always going to see either a Rein, a Sigma, or an Orisa.
Do you think that 222 really kind of messed up the game?
I feel like it didn't mess up the game. I feel like it's more like a double-edged sword, because
Right.
I remember back before they had the thing, and you'd be on teams.
It was a pain. It was a mess. It was a mess.
Cooperate. You'd have 3
What they
DPS,
could've
2
done-
heals, and 1 tank.
What they could have done is, like, how for hero pools you're only having that for master and above, right?
That's what I wanted to bring up right after this.
They should have done hero or 222 only for people like diamond or below or something like that.
That could work. I mean, see, that's what I wanted to bring up. So we're gonna take a quick little segue into that. But how do you feel about the whole we're gonna take hero pools off for everyone except for master and above? Because
Hero pools were weird. It's not like I hate it. It was honestly just there for me. It really didn't. Of course, when McCree was gone, I got to try out different characters and have to like one trick on them. It was more. It didn't make sense for people. I understand why they did that. It didn't make sense for us. We are so diverse in the comps we choose, right? We choose literally we play almost every single DPS character every time we comp, right? We play so many different ones. When you're going master and above, it's very very specific with like May, Reaper, or like it's really really specific, and it didn't make sense to have it for us, which I kind of like. I like how it's only for Overwatch League and above. So I think that is something I do agree with the Overwatch devs, and I'm happy with right now.
and I get that, but here's the other argument, right? The entire reason they brought that was kind of to almost synchronize competitive, like very high levels of Overwatch competitive with Overwatch League, which is why they used to make, you know, whoever in the Overwatch League was banned for hero pools is who would be brought in for banned in just regular Overwatch
Well,
competitive.
Overwatch League will still have it, right? It's not like Overwatch League doesn't have a hero pool anymore.
Well, yeah, no, but what I'm saying is, like, the entire reason they did that was to put the competitive ladder up, and your argument, I completely understand. And I also agree with most of it, but
hero pools are weird. Hero pools are really
the
weird.
other argument is more, you know, if the entire purpose of bringing that in was to almost connect both competitive Overwatch with Overwatch League, how is making that connection only to Masters and Grandmasters gonna really do for?
Right. No, I totally see what you're saying. It depends, man. I mean,
And how is that gonna affect, you know, people who are gonna Smurf? Because you can have all these Grandmasters and Masters, and for the most part, most of them play with the team, right? They play for the team, they play to get victories. But you also definitely have those players who don't really care about their rank. They've gotten to there because they're good at the game, but they don't really care about their rank. They just enjoy playing their hero really, really well. And let's say that you have like a McCree main, and McCree gets knocked out because of hero pool.
I like the reason I liked it is just that with certain heroes we would see a lot of Brig one tricks, right? Brig was the most annoying character. We would see a lot of sometimes even Widow one tricks in what we were doing, and just having that variation just makes more sense. People can try more things, and in turn they can also be better at those heroes, because once we don't have hero pools and we tell them to get off some other hero and go others, we've seen it so many times. They say, this is the only hero I can play.
And yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree, especially for lower ranks, you know, bronze,
So that's the other
silver,
argument, saying that we
things
should
like
have
that.
kept it to have variation and diversity with people playing games. Not everyone's just a one trick.
Yeah, no, but
But-
I'm talking more higher ranks, right? Like, look at Diamond, Masters. What's stopping someone in Masters who just really wants to one-trick their hero from throwing all their games just to come to Diamond so they won't be affected by the hero pools anymore, so Jay could just continue to play?
Okay, if that happens, I mean, there's always just reports that can do. In turn, it's more of, yeah, you're unlucky. You avoid the teammate, you move on. You're just unlucky at that point.
No, yeah, I don't... That's not my point. My point is more for the Diamond players, right? For those Diamond players who are getting attacked by those Smurfs everywhere because all of these people who just like playing their heroes. It's an interesting concept to think about, and I'm not really sure how Blizzard's gonna really implement this.
Also, Blizzard came out and said that to implement or to put that back, take that hero pools for just us, it'll take a long time. Probably another couple months, just because of how much work they did. So they have to do a lot of, the back end stuff, right?
Yeah, so they have to undo all the work they've done.
For us, yeah. So hero pools taking out, well, we won't see it until like another couple months, right? I'm guessing. I think that's how it works, if I'm right. But don't quote me on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting concept the way they've decided to go. They started off by saying that it was more of a it was more to synchronize all of competitive ladder, and now they're making it only for the highest brackets of the competitive ladder, and I don't really know what they're gonna do from there. Like, what's gonna stop?
I mean, let's look at this. if hero pool is still a thing for us, right?
Yes.
This week's hero pool is Reaper, Ashe, Ryan, and Break.
Okay.
So just sink that in for a second. The Break I like. The Ryan, it's more or less back to like dive or double shield, right?
Yeah.
With the Ashe, I mean,
I don't really see too many Ashes, so it's.
I see a lot nowadays. I've actually been seeing a lot. Reaper is a pretty big one. So that means Monkey is really free. Dive is still like literally free to go.
Yes.
So we'd be seeing a lot more dive now.
It's true, but again, do low-level players really, and anybody who's watching, definitely go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments below, because we're really interested on what you guys think and what you guys have to say. But how many low-level players do you think actually use the meta or use what counters? Because as far as I've seen and I've played this game for about 3.5 years now. 3 years, 3.5
Right.
years. So, in that time span, what I've come to realize is in the competitive ladder, right? Bronze is basically when you have absolutely no idea what's happening. Silver is when...
Bronze, they have enough brains to know that Reaper kills Monkey, and if there's no Reaper, that means Monkey is free.
No. I mean,
it's not like they're dumb, right? It's not like they're mentally deficient.
bronze is when you're basically new to the game. You don't really understand the mechanics. You don't really understand hero abilities. You're just You're understanding things. Silver is when you've played the game long enough to find those couple heroes that you want to.
Okay, but there's a lot of people who've gotten gold without really knowing. I mean, talk about Kaon, for example. His first placement, he got into gold.
No. And I mean, gold is kind of where you're starting to learn how to play your hero correctly. Plat is when you understand how to play your hero and you're learning basic mechanics and you have like a decent grasp on that. Diamond is where you're starting to learn to play as a team and incorporate metas. Masters is... It's Masters. You pretty much know how to play the game. You're just trying to get to Grandmaster. Grandmaster, you're a Grandmaster. No real explanation needed for that. And then top 500 is top 500. And based off that ranking, what I've seen really is, yes, people know that the best counter for Reaper or for Monkey's Reaper. And yes, a lot of games actually there will be people switching. But in the grand scheme of Overwatch, right? In the grand scheme of Overwatch's lower tiers and competitive ladders, I don't really see a lot of meta being incorporated. And it's not just for Monkey Reaper. I mean, in general, they don't really immediately... Like, if there's a Pharah on the other team, one of the DPS doesn't immediately switch to a hit scan if they don't have a hit scan. They more say, oh, I'm better at playing the hero I play right now rather than playing a hit scan. So I'm just going to stick with the hero I am now and just try to hope for the best. And that's something that changes the higher the rank you go, obviously, because you develop more skill. But, like, incorporating the fact that... And what you said is actually one of the reasons I agree with the whole hero pool thing. Because if you do add the hero pools for... I mean, if you add the hero pools for lower ranks, what it actually does is it kind of forces the people in the lower ranks to play those different heroes. And so by the time you grind up to a different, tier, you actually know how to play more, so you can counter more effectively, versus without hero pools, it's going to be a lot more, I one-trick this hero. I'm not going to deal with anything else. I'm just going to stay there.
Right.
So... yeah, I mean, that's just what I feel about
No, man,
the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like a double-edged sword. It could go either way. There's both benefits and, I can't think of the word that's the antonym to a benefit, so I'm just gonna call it a con. So there's both pros and cons to what they're doing, but it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how they go from there. But again, we definitely are very interested in seeing what you guys think. So definitely drop what you're thinking into the comments below. And let's get a discussion started there, because these are some interesting topics to think about.
When we talk about how Overwatch might be a little bit dying, right?
Yeah.
People are leaving, switching to games. Do you think when Overwatch 2 comes back, we would see, a huge increase, a huge spark, everybody coming back for the game?
That depends. Okay, so I don't actually know all that much about Overwatch 2, so let me just pull what I can pull up.
They're having really interesting stuff. I think Overwatch is gonna be really interesting. It has to be really big though, for it to really make a big impact on the players and bring people back, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, okay, so like I was saying earlier, Overwatch, and again, not bashing on the game, play the game all the time, right? I'm just saying, looking at it from that point of view,
Right.
Overwatch is the same thing and again. And yes, they have a really, really rich storyline and lore in the background, and they got, backstories and animations, but none of that's really incorporated into the game, right? So you take a look at the lore, you see this amazing story of how this team came together to fight the Omnics and the Omnic Crisis, and they saved the world against it. And you look at the actual game, and it's 6 people from that team versus 6 other people from the exact team, either trying to stand in a square or push a little cart from one end of the map to the other. And I mean, there's no real connection between, because it's not like one team is the Omnics and they're trying to, take over blank, and the other team is actual Overwatch heroes and they're trying to stop with the defense, stop them from attacking and all of that. And yes, you can incorporate the payload and incorporate all of that into that, but I mean, it's just 6 heroes versus 6 heroes, and it kind of gets repetitive over a period of time. And yes, it's still fun, but it's also tilting. But at the same time, it's repetitive, and I feel like over a period of time, there's only so much of that you're gonna do before you realize, oh, this is gonna be the same thing no matter when I come back. Let me try some other games as well. Overwatch 2, on the other hand, it says a dawn of a new Overwatch, and it's more of a story mode. So there's team versus team, there's co-op missions, so that's gonna make things a little bit more interesting. So when they say co-op missions, I don't want it to be like the Overwatch anniversary missions, because those are really short and it's repetitive.
Right.
But if they have like an actual storyline, like another game, with the heroes, I feel like it'll definitely bring a solid amount of people, because the lore that they have is really good. The animations that they have is really good for the backstories. If they add a story mode and make it a really interesting story, then it's definitely going to be a hit. It's just, most people are only going to take the same repetitive content only so many times before eventually most games do, die out. It's not like people are not going to play the game at all. Like if I log into CS 1.6, I can still find a handful of people to play with, but it's definitely not going to be as, widespread and as high of a player base as it is right now.
Oh, I was on mute. So, now this goes back to my question, right, about when we were talking about Overwatch 2. You'd think they're going to keep endorsements in LFG. So, I don't know how popular those are right now. I don't think that's really popular. I mean, when they first came out, yes, it was widely used, right? What do you think about right now? I just don't see that same love for them, I'll say.
Endorsements are great, but what do you really get from them?
Right. Yeah, you just get some icon next to your name that says 1
that,
to 5.
and I've heard that it helps with loot boxes, but
it's dumb.
In all my ranked games, I've seen very few people actually endorse, because you just never remember, because there's no actual, if they have an actual reward behind it, people will go, oh, all I have to do is click, N, click on the people, endorse, and I'll be done. But no one does it, because there's no real reward. There's no reason for people to. There's nothing driving it. And LFG was hugely popular when it first came out. It was the way to go. You would find a group, you wouldn't be stuck with randoms, you could communicate, you knew what was happening. But then they introduced 222s, and in the 222 queuing, it's basically LFG, because in LFG, you could assign how many people per role, so you can bring it in, so you don't have like 8 million people playing DPS. But that's basically what 222 has done. So I don't really see it coming back.
You know, I hope they don't. I don't think it's worth having that.
Yeah, I don't really see it coming back.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Overwatch website, and I'm looking at Overwatch 2. And for team versus team, it says a new era of epic competition. New map type Push. In Push, a new symmetrical map type that will launch with Overwatch 2. Teams battle to take control of a robot that begins in a central location and then push it towards an enemy base. Either team may take control of the robot at any time. The team that pushes the robot furthest onto the enemy side wins. So it's like a tug of war.
Yeah.
So
it kind of is. Yeah.
It's an interesting concept. It's an interesting concept, but again, coming back to that whole storyline thing that we talked about a little bit earlier. How long is it really gonna last before people really get, it's the same game mode again? Do I really want to do this, or that type of thing? It definitely is an interesting concept, and I feel like it's gonna be much more different from every other game mode because it could go either way. It's not who caps the point and just stands in the square. It's more who can push the bot the furthest, and it's the same bot regardless in one round, but
Right.
can get repetitive. And if we look at co-op missions, see, this is what I'm liking. So I just opened it, and the first couple words really caught my eye, and it says action-packed story missions. Power up and save the world. Play an active role in the next chapter of the Overwatch saga through a series of intense 4-player
That's interesting.
missions.
Right.
Fight back against Null Sector, uncover the
It's like story mode,
and confront a wave of rising new threats. So I also see how there's factions to stop Null Sector. So what do you think about that, just from hearing that little summary?
It sounds good. It's it's like a hook. It's nice.
Great response.
I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, yeah, this is something they should have done a long back. They need to make it like that. They need to make it that interesting. They need to have that kind of, you know what I mean? Appeal.
Yeah. No, and I'm just. It sounds really good. The only thing I'm worried about is it becoming basically the Overwatch anniversary story mode missions, because those are not really story mode missions,
Also, I want to talk about something else. When looking, so this is about a certain hero that came out, right? Echo.
Oh yeah.
Big bomb. Have you seen how big her hitbox is?
Not really, no.
It's huge. It's humongous. You can go like 3 feet away from her head and they'll still hit her.
Okay.
As a headshot.
Alright.
It's a huge hitbox. Does that mean Echo's really gonna be bad now? It's not gonna be that. I don't know. What do you think?
Not necessarily. Echo is very agile. Echo has the ability to fly every, 4 seconds? Mm-hmm. She can throw grenades. She can shoot the triangle of whatever she shoots.
Right.
And she can do her E. Plus, she's a relatively squishy character, which, yes, her hitbox is big, but her actual model isn't big, which means while the hitbox is big for a character her size, it's still not as big as someone who has a much bigger model.
Yeah, no, I do agree.
So, I feel like if you
I think Soldier is becoming the best counter for her right now.
Yeah.
No, I mean Kree, but Soldier.
And I feel like if you just learn to master just being able to move and be super agile in Echo, it shouldn't be that big of a difference. Because they have to kind of do that in order to make it even in any sort of way, especially because her ult charges at 650%. Right? When she uses her ult and transforms into any other hero, that ult charges at 650%. So you can pop an ult literally like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that part is really overpowered, and this is how they have to counter it, because if she had a small hitbox, then she'd literally be broken, which she kind of already is.
So right now, I'm looking at someone playing, what is it? So, Echo right now, right?
Okay.
Or Soldier right now versus an Echo, and I'm looking at that hitbox, dude. It's as much as she's agile, Soldier is such a big counter to her, dude. It's too much.
Yeah. But you gotta have a soldier that can hit the shots.
I mean, it's not that hard.
It's not. It's not. But again,
it
if you
shouldn't be
learn
that
to
bad.
be agile enough, and don't always spend
right,
all
of
your
course.
time in the air, right? Because you get to fly every 4 seconds. I think that's like, you take Pharah, the other flying hero. Pharah flies because that is her kit. Like, her kit is to be high up and shoot down. Echo doesn't need to do that. Echo can play from the ground as well as from the air. So if you're getting targeted, you can literally stay on the ground behind a shield or a barrier. Or you can hide in a building and just pop out of nowhere, do your damage, go back in, and then pop out of a different place, just because you have that agility and that speed. And I feel like Soldier's a good counter, no doubt. But you can learn
Soldier
to
and
play
Tracer
with a Soldier.
even Tracer is really good counter.
Sure, but I mean, again, you'd
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
yeah, so I mean, some interesting things to think about.
Yeah, that is. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Well,
I've been trying to bring up topics.
not off the top of my head, no. The big ones were just the whole,
Yeah.
hero pool thing, and then also the just Overwatch 2 versus 1 and things like that.
I think we talked about basically all the news that we know about
Yeah.
that came recently.
So if you guys have any thoughts on anything we talked about, or any topics that you do want to talk about in future episodes, definitely drop that in the comments below. Because we're actually really interested to see what you guys think, and we'll definitely take a look at that.
We are.
Remember, follow me on Twitch. I follow Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Not right now though, because his PC is still underway. But
By the time
I'll
this
be done by
video will
tomorrow.
be up, by the time this video goes up, my
Right,
PC will
right.
be fixed. So
Yeah,
I stream every
yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So definitely go follow me on Twitch. Link's gonna be in the description below. Subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you leave a like. Follow me on my social media. Join the Discord if you'd like to join a pretty cool community where we have access to a bunch of super cool things. And go drop my boy Pranav a follow. His Twitch is also going to be in the description below. But
Yeah.
with that being said, I think we have a solid discussion going on for the first episode of Overcast. So I'm AVRHD, and I guess I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.